Hey guys, it's Drew again. So it's time to do another TTM video where I get to show off some of the experiences and responses I got over the years. So I'm just going to randomly flip through my book, find some cool stuff, show it off. So let's check it out. So like I said, I wanted to do another through the mail video. There is definitely a big community out there. While I don't actively do it, I did do a lot, and I've shown this off before, but all of my through the mails are in this binder, and I've got letters and pages and cards and autographs and stuff of different people, and I've shown off some of my best ones and my not so great ones and just different things. But I thought, you know what, let's be a little random about it, and I'm just going to kind of flip through and show you just some different things that stick out to me when I look through the binder. So a couple of things, if you haven't seen this before, the way I set my binder up is when I sent away to a player and asked for their autograph, I would always send them a card. If they only sent back the card signed, that's what's in these first few pages. So these are just cards that have been signed by all these players, and but I also would include a letter. And in this letter, I would ask questions, and these questions would be kind of standard questions that I would ask them. If they wrote back, then I would include the card with the letter, as you can see, okay? If they sent something else, sometimes they had their own brochure or pamphlet, and they would sign that. I would include that on these pages. And all these things are different, you know, people and players. And it's amazing now that it's been well over a decade since I did this, how many of these players have passed away. And I really got to thinking about this a few weeks ago when one of my favorite players, Carl Erskine, did pass away. And I did write Carl. In fact, he was the first person to ever respond to me. And when Mr. Erskine finally did respond, he and I actually communicated back and forth a little bit, and I became a huge fan of Carl Erskine, not the baseball player, but of the human, the humanitarian, and for what he stood for, what he believed, and what he fought for within his life. If you have not checked out Carl Erskine, then go check out his stuff. Just go read about him on Wikipedia or wherever, but I guarantee you'll be impressed with who the man was and what he stood for. But I don't want to make this all about Carl Erskine because I've done that before. So let's find a couple of interesting things. So one of the people I really wanted to get when I was doing this was, if you remember or know who Bill Lee is, and Bill the Spaceman Lee, and you know, he was a pitcher and kind of kooky back there in the 70s, and played for the Red Sox. So I had one of my favorite sets from the 70s is 1971, and I had this 1971 card of Bill Lee, and I sent it to him. And the reason I liked it, I'm going to show you the second card I got back from him first. And the reason is he had a really cool autograph, and I really thought this was neat. So this is my Bill Lee. Now this again is the second one that I returned back. And what he does is he's got this really cool big script B, and then writes the Ill Lee kind of within it. And I just thought it was kind of a neat autograph, and I had seen other people get this back, so I wanted to get that, and I thought it would look really, really sharp on this 1971 example. But this is not actually what I got the first time. The first time I sent it, what I got was something completely different. And if you look at the card, the way it was designed, it's got his picture, but it has a facsimile autograph, and different years had those, as you know. And I don't know. I don't know why he did this, but the very first time I sent him a card, he actually sent back this, where he just duplicated his signature in the same script from 1971, the facsimile, and I was surprised by that because I was expecting this, but this is what I got. And so those two, it's kind of funny because if you know anything about him, he was kind of crazy, a little out of left field, even though he was a pitcher, and he, you know, I don't know why he decided to do that. Maybe he just saw that signature and thought, well, I'm going to duplicate that. So you can see it is his handwriting because there's it's photo matched to his facsimile. But I always thought that was really funny that he took the first time and he did that. And then when I sent him the other card again, he sent it back the way I was expecting. So those are side by side in the book, and I always thought that was really kind of cool. Let's see what else we can find. Let's go to some of the pages. Now, again, when I go to the pages, you'll see different players would write different things, and what I would do is I would actually ask the same questions over and over again. And the three questions that I would ask is, first, who's the toughest player you ever faced in your career? Second, what was the greatest team, or other letters I would write, what's a great memory that you have? And then the last one is, what's something you remember about your career that most people don't? And that was always the question I would hope to get. So let's see if we can find something. Let's see. Bob Friend. I don't remember what he said, but there's Bob Friend. So he actually, there's the card he sent back. So it was an all-star card. And he actually, I always put in a blank index card. I never asked for anything on that, but he signed that and filled it out with, let's see, 197 wins, 4-time All-Star, ERA champ, 1955, 2.83, and 2 All-Star wins. So, he put a little bio on the little thing, which I thought was super cool. Again, I would include the index card, but I would never ask for anything, and sometimes they would write stuff on it, sometimes they didn't. So let's see what he answered. So, who's the toughest player that he faced in his career? He said Hank Aaron and Stan Musial as a National League player, probably not a big surprise. What was the greatest thrill of your playing career? Me, a 1960 World Series champion, of course, with the Pirates overcoming over the Yankees. And what's something you remember about your career that most people don't? And he wrote, I pitched 14 years without missing a start. Wow. He was a starting pitcher for 14 years, and he pitched for 14 years. He never missed a start. And that's what he wrote. That's something he remembers that most people don't. I think that's really cool. All right, let's see what else we got. I don't know. I'm just really trying to go through. Oh, I remember this one. Greg Gagne. Now, I remember Greg Gagne playing it. And if you don't remember, he played for the Twins. And I remember sending him this. And the same thing. So he signed the card, a 1991 Topps. You can see it down there. He did sign the index card. Again, not asking for it, which I thought was cool. So I remember what he wrote this. So who was the toughest player that he ever had to face? He said Frank Thomas was a tough out. He was very tough. As a pitcher, Frank Thomas was a tough out. He was tough. Pitcher didn't face him much, but... Oh, Pedro Martinez. So the pitcher he hated was Pedro Martinez, but when Frank Thomas came up to the plate, he was a really hard guy to get out. It was the greatest thrill about playing. He said probably hitting a home run in Game 1 of the 1991 World Series. I remember that World Series, and I wasn't as happy being from Georgia at that point. But anyway, if you know your history, you know what. And then something you remember about your career that most people don't. He said, I remember this because it's so personal, just kind of goofy. He said, when a rat came on from left field in Cleveland when I was playing in shortstop, so he was in Cleveland, he was playing short, and a rat came out and came in front of him. And that's the thought he remembered out of all his playing career, all of his accomplishments, Major League player, World Series champion. He remembers a rat in Cleveland coming out. Again, kind of funny to me. All right, let's do a third one, and then we'll see what else we can find. I know there's one in here that I wanted to do, so I'm going to pause it for a second, and then I'll find it. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I found it. It took a little bit, but I found it. Okay, so I actually wrote to Joe Morgan. Now, not the Hall of Famer, but he was the manager for the Red Sox for a short time, and I sent him a card again from 1991 Topps, and you can see what he sent back. He signed it there. He did sign the thing. He says to Drew, Joe Morgan, the manager from 1988 to 1991. So all my Red Sox fans out there, there's that. And here's what he wrote. And I thought this was super cool. Okay, I said the question I asked him was, do you remember the first time you saw yourself on a baseball card, and what'd you think? He said yes, 1959 Kansas City A's. That's all he wrote. I asked him a second question, which was, who was the best team you ever played with? He didn't answer that one, which was fine. And then I said, who was the best all-around player that you ever witnessed? Now, I was meaning that like played against or in a team or as a manager, maybe someone he managed. But here, listen to what he said, okay? He said, Jimmy Fox. He pitched, he caught, first base, second base, shortstop, outfield. Look him up. Nobody did what he could do. I saw him in 1938. Wow. Jimmy Fox. And he got to witness him. And I looked it up. He was a little boy at that point. Joe Morgan was. But he got to see Jimmy Fox. And you can see that was his response right here. Jimmy Fox. And I love the part that he says, look him up. He just tells me. He doesn't say, if you get a chance or anything, he's like, look him up. I know you're going to be blown away. And I just think that's such a cool response. So anyway, so there's a couple of different things that I shared. I hope you guys like it. If you like these, let's do this every once in a while. I'll just flip through the book because there's some great ones. There's guys that I've never heard of. There's guys that I forgot I had, like, I got Monty Irvin on a picture, and of course Hall of Famer and now passed away. Just great players and great people, and you hear the names and you think, you know, as a card collector, so often we look at these guys and we say, oh, they're just a common, and we pay a common price when we're putting a set together or looking for a team set or something. But they're not common because these guys played in the major leagues, and you know what? I didn't, and neither did you, more than likely. And so they're not common. They're major leaguers, and they needed to be remembered. They need to be respected, and their stories need to be told. And that's one of the things I really, really enjoyed about going back and doing TTM, was it was a whole lot of fun to do. It was the anticipation of finding people or whatever. But, I never read on the back of a card from Greg Gagne that, he was once scared because of a rat, and Cleveland came out and came by him in shortstop. Or the fact that when Joe Morgan, the manager, was a kid, he got to see Jimmy Fox play in person, and he was most impressed with him out of all the other people he ever got to witness. That kind of stuff is really cool to me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. But anyway, let me know if you like this kind of stuff. But until next time, you guys be good.